Welcome to Samvadh. We are in conversation with Ms. Aarti Rajratnam on part 2 of Sibling Rivalry. What is sibling rivalry? Because in Indian families we all have siblings and they're very rare case of one child family.
There is a difference between a conflict and rivalry, and every healthy relationship needs to have conflict. But rivalry is when two siblings or three siblings are competing for the same resources, and by resources we are talking about the parental attention and affection.
As parents, and I'm guilty of this also, I've always said this to my child, though they are 6 years apart, I would always say, she's the younger one. I've always asked her to give in.
I know I'm treading on very dangerous ground with you being the youngest sibling, but many younger ones know how to manipulate the parents better than the elder ones.
Oh yes. What are the other kinds of sibling rivalries?
The most common we see is what we call regression. The next symptom we notice with children is a drop in academic performance. The next symptom that I've noticed is aggression. Your love languages work. And if I could briefly just touch on love languages, how someone perceives love is how they express love. So there are typically 5 ways in which we perceive love. So the first one is children who understand gifts as love. So if you see these children, these are the ones that will pick up a stone from the garden, come and give it to you saying, "Mummy, I brought it for you, this is special," and you'll be wondering it's a stone, but for the child, that is love. And these are the children also who get very excited when you get them gifts. So these are the ones that later on in any other relationship, for example, my sister is a person who loves gifts. If you don't wish her with a gift, sometimes she's a little upset with it, and I'm someone who just doesn't understand that as a love language, but I understand that it's hers. The second kind of love language is words of appreciation. And these are the kids that will also go to a random stranger in the mall and say, "Auntie, your sari is very nice." They tend to use verbal appreciation, and these are children who benefit greatly from verbal appreciation. So if your child is someone who is that, then you can use, but don't use the good and bad. Give them something like, "I really loved what you did." Add a love there. And that's very important. The third is the child who relies completely on acts of service. They will try to help you. "Amma, let me do this for you, Amma. Amma, come, let's carry the bag together." And when they want affection, they'll say, "Amma, just help me with my homework. Can you just sharpen my pencil?" And the mother probably, at that point says, you know how to sharpen the pencil. But when this specific, I used to have this one kid, if I can give an example, she would always say, "My mother doesn't like me." You say, "Why?" Because when I ask her to take the red crayon and give it, she says, "You take it yourself. You have hands, why don't you do it?" But actually what she was trying to do is to involve the mother in what she was doing as well. So this would be acts of service. Then there is the child that understands quality time. So these are the kids when the mother's in the kitchen or even playing on, in an office meeting, working from home, the child just wants to say, "Amma, you work, but I'll just sit with you." And you'll see the mother will be doing something, they'll be in the other room, they'll run, "Amma, you're here? Okay, I'll go back." These are the children that understand quality time. So they're the ones that say, "Amma, just sit with me. You don't have to say anything, don't have to do anything, just sit with me." That's the child that understands quality time. And the fifth is the child that understands touch. So they're the ones that need the hugs, they need to hold your hand, they need to, and even in school, these are the kids that will have the teacher's sari touching them, so excited that the teacher's sari touched them. So children who understand touch also require touch. So
these are the different kinds of ways they like to receive
and understand love. So each of us has a love language which is predominant. If we understand our love language, we'll be more receptive to our children's love language. So for example, I'm a touch person, and my mother was a very, very strict quality time person. And it was very difficult for her to understand touch. She'll say, "Why are you always sticking to me?" It was not easy for her to understand touch. So sometimes, we dismiss the child's love language.
So a lot of times, because we understand only our love language, we are very dismissive of the other people's and also probably judging the other people's love language, and we don't know how to receive that and give that also. But it's important that we are aware of these love languages and take it from the point that diversity, and understand and give in the language the child understands.
So that actually reduces a lot of conflict, also reduces rivalry, and it's a very important thing for us to use.
There are other kinds of rivalries based on gender, and when I used to fight with my brother, my mother always used to say, "He's a boy, you're a girl." There is a kind of perception that girls should be quieter, girls should not raise their voice, and not fight with boys. So more than fighting with my brother or the physical fight, or we used to hit each other, whatever, I used to get ticked by what my mother said. That I used to get very triggered by, why is it a different rule for a boy? So how does this accumulate and get into a conflict or a rivalry between two siblings?
This would technically fall under gender stereotype, where I believe that girls are not entitled to aggression and only boys are. And this would also play out in other ways, like when toys are bought, the boys would get the cars and the guns and the knives and all that, and the girls would get the kitchen related, doll related, you're suitable for the house and you're suitable for anything outside. It does play out as resentment in many children, because most girls don't really like it. And also we make boys emotionally very immature, because they're taught, or rather they're given this message that they can be anything they want to be and can use might is right. So it also again plays out in intimate partner relationships, where they assume that the woman has to be the docile partner, and that they can get their way, not even participate in the work in the house and things like that. So it sort of leads to very deep-seated societal issues that are very, very difficult. And it's good that we rebel. That rebellion is a very healthy rebellion, because whenever I'm experiencing anger, it's just a warning from my system saying that something that is rightfully yours is not being given to you. And I think that rebellion that you probably experienced was completely normal.
What about twins, ma'am?
I'm a twin myself, so my brother and I are twins. We have a very special bond. It's something that I cannot even probably verbally explain, because
I think twins, we all over, we know that they have a special bond.
Strong instinct, like very telepathic also. We can sit across the room and communicate just like that. And my mother would find it very scary, because though we were completely different personalities, like the night and the day, we were completely different personalities. He was academically very, very good. I was the one that troubled my parents forever with academics and things.
Don't seem like.
Now, no, but back then, I'm sure my teachers, if they're probably watching these episodes, they'd be shocked to see what I'm saying, because the problem child in the school is the one fixing problems now. That's probably what they would say. But
that's one of the reasons when we have somebody who's very, very naughty, we make them the leader of the class, so that they feel responsible and they don't make as much noise.
No, but when they made me the leader, I taught everybody to misbehave, so it doesn't work in all situations. But without digressing, I would probably come back to the twin aspect. Our biggest challenge was, my sister would be referred to as, she's our eldest, and then the twins. We were always treated like these, we
one
as one unit. We are not. We are two separate individuals. And so in schools also, when there are twins, I request schools to have them in separate sections, because they're going to come up with different skills. Now, for example, math was very difficult for me. He was very good at it. So my maths teacher would constantly compare the two of us, right? But I was the sports person. He cannot even catch a ball, right? So in the physical education class, he would be shamed quite often, because I was so good, and they would even...
I see this quite often, even besides twins, even in siblings, when if there is a one child who's extremely academically high achiever, the other sibling has that burden because teachers are always comparing. Look at your sister, look at your brother, he's so good, she's so good, what's wrong with you? And I've seen cases where children want to move out of the school because they're not able to, bear the burden of that legacy the other child has created.
So my sister was the gold medalist till her MPhil in every semester. My brother was like a state ranker and me, I barely managed to pass. So yes, I understand very much what you're saying, but these are all external contributors of sibling rivalry. Because apart from competing for parental affection and attention, there is also this acceptance need and belonging need that I have in the classroom. You beautifully brought it out because this comparison, because we glorify certain qualities like academic performance and we sort of vilify certain qualities like mischief. Mischief in fact is a sign of intelligence in most cases, because a child is not able to take this repetitive question and answer thing. So having said that, it does lead to sibling rivalry and it's an external form of the contributor for sibling rivalry. It would be wise for teachers or people outside the home not to compare siblings, because comparison destroys relationships and increases rivalry.
So ma'am, could you give us some pointers to what are the steps as parents we should take to let conflict be conflict and not contribute to rivalry, sibling rivalry?
So I would take proactive strategies and supportive strategies, because proactive is where I'm prepared. So the family is planned and I'm also letting my children, preparing one child for the other. Second is to have the supportive strategies, where I mentioned earlier how we prepare the child, and when the child vents out, I don't like my brother, I don't like my sister, sometimes not in a complaining tone, but separately they come out and say I don't like this, I don't like them. Listen without judging or trying to fix it, because many times we do dislike people for certain things. Like we could be having this conversation, you could have said something that triggered me. I still love you, but I may not like what you did. So to differentiate the that aspect of not liking something but still being able to love the child or love the person is something we have to understand as parents, because we assume that if I don't like this person, I also don't love them, and that's not true. That's one thing. The restorative space is when there is already rivalry and it's been carried on for several weeks, months, years. It's very important for some parent or another sort of a balanced adult to sit down with both of them and help them work through some of their differences.
It's interesting.
It's a very important aspect, because that's why I'm calling it restorative. Because we can't just assume that it'll become all right with age, that they'll just mature through it. Small triggers will always exist, and it'll come out as a snide remark, as a critique sometime. You're always mummy's pet, or those kind of things in a family function. That it's coming.
Mummy's pet, father's pet. I think all children use it at some time or the other with the child. You like the other child more than me, and how does parent have to act at that moment? We tend to over explain by saying no, both are equal, both are the same, but they don't agree with you. What do you do as a parent in that kind of situation?
At that point, the parent is only feeling guilty and acting out the guilt. Because it's really, the over-explaining is not going to work in a situation that's emotionally charged. Explanation works when it's cognitive, thinking related. When the child says that you prefer that one, whatever, just to stay silent. Because what happens is when you stay silent and you pause, you let the child know, I respect what you've said. I'm not going to fix it, correct it, or do anything. But in any way, if I feel that that is feedback, I could work on it. Because I've seen children, especially the younger one, when the younger one is neurodivergent, has autism, or has a physical illness sometimes, the parent has to spend more time with the younger one, and it's difficult for the elder one to understand that. So they are likely to say, you prefer the younger one. And it's very real. What they're saying is true, because your time has been completely, taken away. So in that sense, I think sometimes to just let them speak it out without reacting, without fixing, is very important, because once they know that you're not going to judge them for having feelings, they will be able to see the truth in the situation on their own.
Thank you, Aarti ma'am, for this insightful conversation. This is the end of part 2 of Sibling Rivalry. We look forward to meeting you next fortnight on another interesting topic.